Hi everybody, and welcome to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. On this video, I've got stories from Relationship Advice, Am I the A-hole, and Today I F'd Up. So if you want to get started with the stories, then just use the timestamps below the video. Now, I'd like to thank all of you that support me, either as YouTube members, Twitch subscribers, or when you donate during the live streams. Your support means a lot to me, so thank you. And if this is the first time watching one of my videos and you like it, then consider subscribing to the channel and joining us on Discord. Now let's get started with today's stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationship Advice, and it's from user The Mongrel Cat. My 28 female ex, 26 male, just got interviewed to be my assistant. He deserves it, but I'm uncomfortable. Hi all, a bit of a sticky situation here, thanks so much for any advice. Ex of 3 years and I ended on sad but okay terms about 2 years ago. We've since reconnected online and now get along much better than we did when we were in a relationship. Primarily, we interact on social media a few times a week and lament about work and social lives. We are both in similar STEM fields, and when we were together I got him an entry-level position at the company I was with where I was a supervisor. He did a great job and was an asset to the team there. We were on separate shifts, so we would only see each other in passing, and I was not really his direct report. I've since moved on to an assistant manager level position at a new company in the same field, and he left the other company to finish grad school. Recently, a different department at my current company is in desperate need of experienced employees, and I vouched for him to HR and suggested he send in his resume. It would be a great opportunity and a very good salary for him right out of school. Turns out HR loved him, so much so that with his similar experience in my specific department, they want to bring him on as my second in command and expand my department rather than put him in for the role he applied for. I really don't know how to feel about this, or if I should disclose to HR that we were previously in a relationship. The issue. I was expecting him to be hired onto a department we would have less interaction in. I don't want him in my department if it can be helped, but I don't want to cost him a great opportunity that he definitely deserves, especially when I am the one who vouched for him. I also worry about how to bring this up to my current partner, male 28. I worry about putting this bug in his ear that I'm working with my ex. To be fair, he's not really the jealous type and hasn't given me reason to think he would take it any sort of way. I know for a fact this is mostly my own anxiety talking, but it still worries me as I truly adore him. Any advice is appreciated and I'm happy to answer any questions as well. OP, in my opinion, if you want to avoid any kind of complication or misunderstanding or any sort of problem regarding this situation, then just be upfront and honest about it. Tell HR that he's an ex-partner, that you vouched for him because you believe he truly deserves the job because how good he is, but that you would feel more at ease if you didn't have to work with him. I would believe that if HR liked him so much, then they recognize his talent, and if you tell them that you would be uncomfortable working with your ex in the same department, particularly with him reporting to you, then they would find somewhere else to put him because they want to keep the talent. And of course, be honest with your partner. If he's never showed any sort of jealous tendency or controlling behavior or anything like that, then it should be fine that you are just honest up front, tell him everything that's going on, why you vouched for your ex and all that stuff, and he should be just fine. Now, I do believe that there would be a problem if you don't tell your boyfriend and try to keep this closed up. Because not only would you be lying by omission, but you could also leave this for any kind of interpretation if he finds out through other means. The big question he would ask is, why would my girlfriend lie to me or hide this from me? And that can lead to trouble. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section what kind of advice you would give OP. And now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Sharp Building 1752 says, as someone who works on HR, they definitely want to know that you used to be in a serious relationship. And OP responds, thank you. This is really what I wanted to know. I was kind of hinting towards everyone to get him in the other department already though, so I hope dropping this won't make me seem disingenuous for not disclosing it earlier. What do you think? Prethi Anon says, Dear HR, I appreciate you reaching out about Mike. I'm thrilled you are as impressed with Mike's abilities in X as I am. I think he would be a real asset to the company. However, I should let you know that while Mike and I have been colleagues and friends for several years, prior to that, we were in a romantic relationship. We ended on good terms and have continued to keep in touch as friends. While I am confident this prior relationship would not be a problem if he were working in Department X, I am concerned about the perception of impropriety if he were to become my report. Please let me know if there's anything else you need from me. Thank you, OP. Big Rotten Tuna says, you have to disclose it to HR. It is a serious conflict of interest. Here are a couple of scenarios to consider. 1. You give him a raise. Someone else claims that it was because you had a past relationship. HR says you should have disclosed it. How do you defend against that? 2. You don't give him a raise. He says it is because he broke up with you. HR says you should have disclosed it. How do you defend against that? Either way, you can't win unless you disclose it right now. And that's what the community says, and I of course agree with all of them. OP, it's just easier to be upfront about it, and just in case you're wondering, there is nothing wrong with this. And some companies actually already have protocols and rules in place for when a relationship occurs within their company, or in this case, an ex relationship. Now, if you're wondering what OP did and what happened after that, well, OP was kind enough to give us 2 updates with all the information, so let's move on with that. Update. I'm still waiting to hear officially from HR and upper management if they want to continue with another round of interviews with him, and if so, for what position. If so, I've drafted an email to HR with the following and will probably copy my direct manager on it also. Hi HR, I'm glad you were able to reach out to X. I do think he would be an asset to the company, but I did want to disclose that while we have been colleagues for years, we have previously had a relationship outside the workplace. I feel from an HR standpoint, if him working under me specifically in department would be a conflict of interest. Would it be possible to consider him for the openings in other department? I also ended up talking with my partner. By the way, I say partner because we're still not in an official relationship, but I consider us exclusive since we spend most of our time together and aren't dating any other people. And expressing how anxious I was about how this would make him feel. He already knows me and my ex interact on social media and are cordial. He says while he wouldn't want to be in my predicament, he doesn't feel jealous about it. He mentioned that if it's giving me this much anxiety regardless of why, it's really in my best interest to trust my gut and make sure he doesn't end up in my department. I just honestly worried about sabotaging someone's career path all because of my anxieties over the feelings of a guy who still isn't ready to commit to me officially. But that's for a whole nother post. We'll see how it ends up working out. Well, it seems to me like OP has made the right choice about just being upfront and honest with all the parties involved. Now, it's cool that the guy that OP is dating, which apparently is not her boyfriend in a committed relationship, understands and he doesn't feel jealous about it. I do have to say, and I don't know if OP was paraphrasing or not, but the way he expressed himself about if this is giving her so much anxiety, regardless of why, it's really in her best interest to trust her gut and make sure that the other guy doesn't end up in her department. I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into that particular phrase, but it did feel like a little bit of low-key jealousy in it. What do you guys think about that? Like, just as a side note. And now let's continue with the last update. Just got off the phone with HR. They were super appreciative of me talking about it and said that if I hadn't brought it up, it could have been counted against me if it came up later, so they confirmed I did the right thing. As I was worried about, they are not going to be offering him a position at my facility at all. But the good news is that they are still going to offer him a position at a different facility in the company. It isn't going to be as much pay, but it still will be a chance for him to get experience. I've definitely learned my lesson not to mix business and pleasure from this. Thank you so much everyone for all of your help. Well, I think that's short and sweet and a happy ending. Nobody's hiding anything from anybody, and OP and her ex will not be working together, which is the goal of this whole thing. HR recognized the potential talent the ex had and are going to put him in a different position to keep that talent. Now, I wouldn't worry so much about it not being a big pay because if this guy is as skilled as everyone thinks, it shouldn't take too long for him to rise through the ranks. And that's it. So now let's move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user Legnefelt. Am I the a-hole for telling a parent that it's my student's own fault for being mistreated? I, female 27, am a preschool teacher. I have a student, Connor. If someone sits 3 inches from where they're supposed to sit, Connor, 6, runs out to report. Someone spills a drop of milk on the table, report. Someone happens to brush past him, he says, "He just pushed me and threw me to the ground." Someone almost ran into him on a bike, says they rode over his toes on purpose and he is in terrible pain. Someone is painting next to him and picks up a pen, cue crying and "She took a pen I was thinking of using soon." If someone is playing with a toy he wants, he will throw a tantrum until they get fed up and give it to him. This has led to others taking a distance from him. They have even stopped playing with him outside of school. We've tried to get him to be included during hours and have had multiple talks with him, but to no avail. Kids tell us that they feel like they have to walk on eggshells around him, and it's tiring. I'm paraphrasing here. We have had countless meetings with parents present as well, who dismiss our concerns. He has been evaluated and doesn't have any diagnosis, disabilities, or anything. The main issue arose when Sarah had a birthday party and everyone in the class was invited but Connor. He was understandably upset and crying. As we could predict, the mom was there the next day, fuming. She told us we had to force Sarah to invite his son by any means possible. When we said we have no control over what happens after school and that no, we cannot call a meeting with all parents and tell them they have to make their kids spend time with them as she wants us to, she was furious. She even tried to approach Sarah when she got sight of her, but we blocked her and said she is not allowed to talk to her. Poor thing was really scared. The day after, Sarah's mom, who is a wonderful woman, told us that Connor's mom had called and shouted at her for not inviting him. She didn't know if she should just invite him, but Sarah and a few of her friends had specifically asked for him not to be there. I told her that we would support and respect her wishes, whatever she chooses to do. Well, the party was last night. Connor wasn't invited. The mom shows up the next day, and we went away to talk. Well, I talked. She shouted. I was pretty fed up and was wondering if I should call security. She kept screaming and blaming everything and everyone. But when she called us useless, incompetent teachers who do nothing while her completely innocent kid was being emotionally abused, I had enough. Told her that he isn't completely innocent though, as we had many talks and he was excluded because of his own behavior towards others. And based on what we've seen and heard, it's pretty understandable. Well, she went from shouting to shrieking and told me I was going to lose my job. I decided to call security after all. I don't know what's going to happen. OP, you weren't the a-hole. You were just presenting the mother with the facts and she didn't like being called out like that. Now, OP, you don't mention a dad, so I don't know if he's in the picture or not, or if he's involved in his kid's life or not. But the way you present the mom, it sounds like this kid is really influenced by her behavior. I don't know if he acts this way to get his mom's attention or if mommy gives him too much attention and that's why he acts this way. Either way, that kid is going to have some tough problems growing up unless he changes his attitude, and that can come from parenting. Either that or at some point this kid realizes that his mom failed him and he goes no contact when he's an adult. In any case, I don't believe you were the a-hole. Some people may argue that it wasn't the way to do it, but honestly, you've already told them so many times in many different ways that their kid was having problems. You tried to talk to the kid himself and nothing changed. You exhausted every option available for you, so you had no other choice. I understand that, and for that reason, I say you're not the a-hole. What about you guys? What is your judgment? Let me know in the comment section, and now of course, we're moving on to the community judgment. Get It Together says, you've had many meetings with the parents. It goes nowhere. You've been yelled at by his mom dozens of times. It goes nowhere. You've tried to work with the kiddo and with the parents. It goes nowhere. It's really sad, but this isn't on the kiddo. This is on the parents who are teaching this kiddo how to be a human. They are teaching him to be a terrible one, not the a-hole in this very limited case. Teresa JS says, not the a-hole. His behaviors are most likely being learned at home, and it isn't your job to accommodate his mother's expectations or to fix his issues. If it is in your power to do so, it would be a good idea to stop accepting him as a student at the facility based on his mother's ill treatment of the staff and other families. And Dopey responds, thank you. Unfortunately, as we are the only kindergarten in our zone, we have no choice but to accept him. Queen Hadassah says, not the a-hole. Although I have to say I'm disgusted by some of these commenters hurling awful insults at a preschooler. Connor is in the wrong here, yes, but it's very common for young kids to have annoying habits like this, especially if they're raised a certain way. Over time, they usually realize it's a socially unacceptable way to act and grow out of it. Saying he's a psychopath or going to grow up as a horrible person, etc. is way out of line. Obviously, not directing this at you, OP, just venting about some other commenters. And there you have it, the community's judgment is that OP is not the a-hole. And I do want to add as a side note that I do believe that this kid's behavior is on the parents, and they're the ones that need to address this. So now we move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Today I Effed Up, and it's from user 32head. Today I effed up by tipping 140% to a pizza delivery driver. My buddy and I ordered a pizza last night. Unaware that I already paid with my debit card, I walked to my door with $30 and gave him a $20 tip on top of that which had been paid online. The driver was about in his mid-30s, barely spoke English, and was driving a beat-up car. He said, "Thank you," very enthusiastically, which made me realize in about 2 seconds that I just gave him double the money for the order, which he would obviously receive as a tip. I was about to admit my mistake and ask for the money back before I saw his reaction while he was walking to his car. He had a smile from ear to ear, like he found the cure for COVID or struck gold or something. He even did this little mini jump before he hopped into his car. I'm not exactly Bill Gates, I still have debts to pay, but I'm glad I effed up to help someone who needed the money more than I did. Anyways, I felt pretty dumb after, but the joy I saw in that man made my week. Not a very interesting story, but it was pretty cool for me, as my dad moved to Canada from across the world with only a bike and a few $100. One thing OP left out in the main post that he puts in the too long didn't read is that he was drunk when he ordered the pizza, and that's why he forgot that he had already paid. In any case, OP did F up, but in the most wholesome way, and the cool thing is that he made somebody's day and OP got the good feeling of helping somebody out. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I certainly did reading them to you. So if you did, then go ahead and give the video a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and become a member of our Discord community that just keeps growing, and it is fantastic. And like I said in the beginning of the video, all of the relevant links are in the video description below, so be sure to check them out. And finally, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys enjoy this content, so thank you once again. And having said all that, I will see you guys in the next video.